Why are they allowed to do the things that you're not allowed to do? Narcissists are very hypocritical. Like you have to obey my rules, but I don't have to obey those rules. Like you can't cheat on me, but I can cheat on you. That whole thing. Um, I'm divorced and he still is controlling me with the court system. So, like, I guess like custody battles are going back and forth. How do you deal with ex narcissist husband if he's not providing for the children? It really depends on like your custody battle. It depends on like, do you have full custody? Does he have full custody? Is it 50-50? Like, there's going to be an aspect of not providing that you're just going to have to write it off of like, this isn't going to happen. Like, I'm just going to have to focus on like me and like how I'm gonna actually take care of the kids. Okay. How can you make them feel shame? They already feel a lot of shame. You're not going to really make them feel more shame. A big aspect is like you wanting to make them feel shame sounds a little bit like revenge, which means you're also not healing. You're just further driving it down. How do you know if you're out of the trauma bond? A big sign of being out of the trauma bond is being able to go through life and being able to have a successful system to deal with triggers. Like if you're not able to deal with the triggers that get thrown at you on a day-to-day basis, when you see his car, when you see him drive by, when you see something that triggers you in that moment and you're not sure how do I actually process it, or it like spins you out for the rest of the day, like that's an aspect of a trauma bond that's still pulling you back. That's what we work with people on a day-to-day basis, whether that's them going through the escape toxicity or one of our other challenges, or them joining a Thriver community and working with me one-on-one. Like being able to break free and control the triggers that are coming in your life versus letting those triggers control you. Ultimately, that's what you want to be able to do. When you say they already feel shame, what do you mean? So the underlying aspect of narcissism is shame avoidance. So a narcissist wants to be able to avoid shame at all costs, even if that means running over you in the process, even if that means hurting you, even if that means damaging you, doesn't matter. They're at least trying to avoid themselves. Like at least I'm not the one that got hurt, even if it's you. It also goes back and forth. And this is the part that gets people really confused sometimes. Like it doesn't logically make sense. Okay. Let's just set that out so everybody knows. Okay. A narcissist builds a mask. Okay. So narcissist has a mask and is like, this is who I am. When in reality, it's not. This is who I am. Okay. Narcissist builds a mask and then it's like, okay, like this person, but I actually know deep down inside that I'm this person. I'm the person behind the mask. That produces shame and guilt because it's incongruent with the person I'm actually putting out here. Okay. But the problem is then with the person putting out here, it invokes more shame and it goes cyclical. Okay. There's also shame of like, I'm a bad person because of what I did, how I treated people. There's things like that, minuscule, like really small. A lot of times that's guilt, compartmentalized, move to the side because they don't want to deal with it. Okay. Let's see. How do you can it work being in a relationship with someone or alone while a narcissist works on themselves? Typically, you're going to have the best success of narcissists working on themselves alone because they hate that. And so, a lot of times, when you're in a relationship with a narcissist, they're only working really hard for you. They're only working really hard to make the relationship work, not to make themselves better. So, you have to understand there's like a difference, there's like a nuance that happens there. We're in the court battle order now, protective orders and divorce. It's dragging me down, even though he's moved on. Yeah, 100%. It's really hard. I think this is me. I need to change. 100%. Like definitely, like throw yourself into it. The more you're able to invest in you and change your perspective, change the mindset of what's actually happening. So, for instance, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes people are looking for closure from a narcissist, right? Like you want closure from that person. You want that person to admit what they actually did to you or the cheating that they actually did. Let me just tell you right now, you're not going to get closure from a narcissist. You're not. Few and far between. Okay. 1 out of 1,000 is going to get closure. You're not going to get closure because closure typically is you saying, is you understanding, hey, this person admitted that they actually did this to me. You're typically never going to have that. Closure is when you understand the facts of the situation and you no longer are looking to that person to validate the reality that you already know. Because typically you're looking for that validation from that toxic person. They've already trained you to do this for such a long period of time. Closure ultimately comes from you. That's it. It comes from you. It comes from the facts of the situation and it comes from the story that you're telling yourself. That's how we partner with you to help you change the story that you're believing so you can live in your truth, so you can live in your power, so you can no longer be controlled by that toxic person. It's crazy. We've been divorced for 7 years, still broken record, blaming me and telling our kids blame me. Yeah. It's not about revenge. They have to figure it out from themselves. You have to separate and do you. 100%. 100%. 24-year marriage, ending it. My ex cheated, tells me if I move on, he'll burn my house down. Hypocrisy. Oh, crazy. What do you do? What do you do about when narcs claim to be suddenly healed? Typically, if you're already in like the separation process, continue through the separation process and sit back and watch it fall apart a couple months later. I swear he's trying to program the kids to believe it was my fault, so we aren't a family. Yes, that is typically true. Zero closure with the narcissist. Yes, because it comes from you. But I said that while you were typing that. So people don't realize how bad it can get. These people can be dangerous. Had his hands around my neck for the last time yesterday. Never again. Should have left a long time ago. Yes, please do leave. You need to understand that if that person has put their hands around your neck, they are 750 times more likely to kill you. Period. Like they've already experienced that control of your life, of your finances, of everything about you. Now they just experienced control over your life. You need to get out and you need to file a police report. Okay. Please be careful, whatever you do. Any point in telling them how I feel? My feelings don't seem to matter. No, they don't. Narcissist doesn't care about how you feel. Narcissist doesn't care what you're going through. Narcissist cares about one thing. That's the narcissist. And typically it's not even that. It's the mask of how I actually look, of how I actually be. And why not just be a better person? Why is it so difficult? Because the narcissist already thinks they're a better person. They don't want to actually admit that they are full of shit. They don't want to actually admit of who they actually are. So they just keep putting up something else there to make themselves feel better about themselves. They're not able typically to deal with the guilt and the shame that's holding them hostage. He manages to set me off in a silent way, then says, my fault, and I'm just trying to set him. Yeah, 100%. Closure equals acceptance. You're abused, period. Radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is hard for a lot of people. We talk about that in the clarity challenge, but radical acceptance is hard. But you need that. You need to be able to radically accept what happened so that you can actually move forward. When people don't accept something, okay? So a lot of what we talk about deals with the truth, okay? The facts of the situation. When people can't accept the facts, the truth of the situation, there's no freedom. Like you can't get free from something. You can't actually say this actually happened. I actually see that it actually happened. Left and he needed to work on himself in January and he hasn't contacted me, but views my profile. Yeah. I don't think he's controlling me anymore. He makes you feel sick. I just need to heal now. Yeah, definitely. Like continue to reach out. Just ended a 9-year relationship with a narcissist. No kids, didn't live together, but now he loves. How can I protect? I don't know what that was going to. How do I protect my kids from mental abuse? So, a couple of things you need to understand: a toxic parent is worse than an absent parent. Okay, normally I say it the other way. An absent parent is better than a toxic parent. Okay, like you want to be able to have them away from that person as much as possible. Now you're like, how does this work? Because we're co-parenting. Well, there's no co-parenting. It's called parallel parenting. Look it up. Okay, but like when you're in this relationship with this other person, let's say you have the kids 50-50. Okay, at that point you're there for the kids in a lot of different ways. You're there for the kids emotionally, mentally. You're helping support them. What you're doing is you're creating a container to have capacity for the kids' feelings because they're not going to get that on the narcissistic side. They're not going to have someone who actually listens to them, who validates their feelings, that helps them process their emotions. You create an emotionally safe space and you will help your kids as they continue to move forward because they're not going to get that from anyone else. My husband is a narcissist for sure. I manage, but only he makes me feel inadequate and mentally drained. He'll continue to do that forever. Like until he actually comes to the truth of the situation or until you leave, it'll continue happening. I'm seeing now I was lucky he discarded me and they blocked all contact. Yeah. Amy, like it's good that you blocked all contact. A lot of people struggle with that. The more you can block and then focus on the truth of the situation, that's what helps you get free. Do narcissists make up dreams for attention? No clue. That's a new one. I don't think I've ever had anyone ask that. Someone actually asked me like, do narcissists dream? And I saved it because I was gonna like do like a screenshot of like my sleep profile. I pretty much hardly ever dream. When I go to sleep, it's like deep sleep. Like it's crazy. Like on like the like sleep monitor and stuff like that. You know, normal people have like deep sleep, REM sleep, light sleep, wake up, and then like back and forth. And it'll go back and forth all night. You're supposed to have like certain cycles, all this kind of stuff. Like a lot of times I go to sleep and it's just like I'm awake, deep sleep, and then deep sleep the entire night, and then wake up, and that's it. Like it's just like boom, and then it's it. I recently did a video that went out, and a lot of people made comments on it because they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't believe that happened exactly to me." Of a narcissist like being in bed with you, and you're there crying and bawling your eyes out, and they just like fall asleep because at that point your tears are an inconvenience to them. So check out that video that we have there as well.